Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the moment that we have all been waiting for all year. Well, for most of 2020, the first month of 2021. So it is still December when I'm filming this, but I gotta say, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for January 2021. I know a lot of people out there are focusing, especially astrologers, some astrologers out there are focusing on the fact that there are some challenging aspects in January 2021. But hey, after we've dealt with 2020, there's going to be a massive shift in energy, making January and literally the whole of 2021 a lot different in vibration, in how we feel about it. There is a massive shift from the element of earth to the element of air, with Jupiter and Saturn conjunct in Aquarius. So it's gonna feel a lot more flowing than 2020 has felt. 2020 has been a year of pushing and hurdles and more pushing, whereas with a focus on the element of air, with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, movement is going to be a lot swifter. Ideas are going to be exchanged a lot faster. And hey, you cannot contain air. Air is everywhere. So before we dive into the astrology of January 2021, I want to mention a few very important details. First and foremost, I am a Western tropical astrologer. I know a lot of people ask this question, and I do wish that they don't just jump straight to their sign without listening to the intro, but in case they do, I mean, I'm sure someone is going to respond to their comments. The second very important element to keep in mind is you should listen both to your rising sign and to your sun sign, because in terms of monthly horoscopes and general horoscopes on YouTube, the ones that you read, the ones that you watch, you may find that you relate a lot more to your rising sign horoscope than to your sun sign horoscope. The sun sign horoscope is still very important because the sun is our ego and our sense of identity, but the rising sign is how you approach the world and how the world sees you. So it's essentially where your natal chart begins. That's why the rising sign is number one. And the third very important announcement that I have to make, for those of you who are new to my channel in particular, I offer one-to-one consultations and personalized audio recorded readings, and you can find out the different types of readings that I offer if you go to my website, which is writteninthestarsastrology.com. There's various different options there, including yearly forecasts as well as natal chart readings or readings focused on love and relationships. So have your pick, folks. Let's dive into the key dates and the most important astrological aspects for January 2021 before we move to the 12 zodiac signs. So throughout the entire month, but a little bit stronger after the 6th of January, when Mars is moving from Aries to Taurus, we have the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in the sign of Aquarius, squaring Uranus, and also squaring the Uranus-Mars conjunction, when Uranus is going to be exactly conjunct with Mars in Taurus. Now, some particularly challenging days, and I like to get the challenging stuff out of the way sooner rather than later, are going to be the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of January. Now, on the 5th of January, we've got Mercury exactly conjunct Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. On the 6th of January, we have Mars moving from Aries into Taurus. Mars has been spending the past 6 months in the sign of Aries, so you're gonna feel the change. You are going to feel it, folks, trust me. On the 8th of January, we've got Mercury moving into Aquarius. Also on the 8th, Venus goes from Sagittarius to Capricorn. On the 10th of January, Mercury is going to be exactly conjunct Saturn. On the 11th of January, Mercury is going to be conjunct Jupiter, exactly. And on the 13th of January, we have a new moon in Capricorn. Then on the 14th of Jan, the Sun is going to be conjunct Pluto, and on the 19th, the Sun is moving to Aquarius from Capricorn. On the 20th of January, we've got an exact conjunction between Mars and Uranus. You remember one of those challenging days that I've been mentioning? On the 24th of Jan, the Sun is going to be conjunct Saturn. On the 28th of January, we have a full moon in Leo and Venus conjunct Pluto. On the 29th, the Sun is conjunct Jupiter, and on the 30th, as if the month weren't eventful enough already, Mercury stations retrograde in Aquarius until the 20th of February. So it ends with a bang. So let's talk zodiac signs. My dear Aries. So what is going on for you in January? So much is happening, especially Aries risings. So throughout the entire month, let me just get the tough stuff out of the way, and then we can focus on the positives. Throughout the entire month, but stronger after the 6th of Jan, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in the sign of Aquarius, in your 11th house of long-term plans, goals, dreams, and also groups of friends, is going to be squaring Uranus and the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 2nd house. And the toughest days, I gotta say, of the month for you most likely are going to be around the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Now, what's happening throughout this whole month, but literally throughout most of 2021, I do want to point it out there, we're talking here about some very big players. We're talking about Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus. Big planets means that the effects of their aspects are felt over time. So throughout the entire month, you may be feeling pressure, financial pressure related to putting your long-term plans into action. You may be having big dreams for the future, big objectives. You're feeling inspired. You want to turn these into reality because Saturn rules the 3D material world. However, financially, there might be some surprises or some restrictions and limitations, and maybe your income, your current earned income, is not as reliable as it has always been. So it can be a time of like navigating long-term plans with current income. How do you make these come together? How do you make them meet up? You're going to have to think very creatively, because essentially when we're talking about the square aspect, square requires action, initiative, and change. Squares indicate that you're not satisfied with the status quo. You're not satisfied with the way things are. So you got to change something. You got to take the bull by the horns, not Taurus, the bull, the proverbial bull, and start putting a plan in place. I would recommend taking a cautious approach and analyzing all the data and all the numbers and all the facts, rather than like throwing yourself into something new altogether without paying attention to all the various elements of this challenge. Nevertheless, I gotta say, you're still very excited for the future. You have overcome some of the probably like toughest years in your career in a very long time for the past 3 years. So now it's like, okay, what's next? Excited but impatient. Now on the 5th of Jan, we've got Mercury exactly conjunct Pluto in your 10th house, so there can be some news coming to you from a boss, from a leadership figure, or from an institution. On the 6th of Jan, woohoo! Finally, Mars moves out of Aries, out of your first house of the physical body. If you have hurt yourself in the past 6 months, you can consider this time over, because Mars going through your first house sometimes makes you prone to accidents, and it might also make you prone to being quite impatient with the external world and quite combative. It's like, I want to get things done, and why are you slowing me down? So there's not going to be too much of that. Now, in the next 2 months, with Mars cruising through your 2nd house of earned income, you're going to be very focused on increasing your income. There is going to be a lot of hustle, Aries, a lot of hustle. On the 8th of Jan, Mercury moves to Aquarius in your 11th house. So we have an additional emphasis on long-term plans here. And you may start catching up with friends and having a social life all over again, which may have been put on hold for quite some time, my dear Aries. On the 8th of January, I gotta say, Venus, until the end of the month, is gonna be in Capricorn in your 10th house. So let me put it out there, no more hardship career related. You are the boss's like sweetheart in a good way throughout this month. And if you're looking for a new job, I would strongly recommend interviewing from the 8th of Jan onwards. Now, on the 13th of January, you have a new moon in Capricorn at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 10th house of career. Sextiling Neptune and Pisces in your 12th house, and also benefiting at the same time of the presence of Venus, the planet of joy and money, in your house of career. Very beautifully aspecting the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 2nd house. Folks, this is a time for you to really step it up career-wise. So find that new job, ask for that new promotion, interview if you have to, go to your boss and say, listen, I'm very valuable and worthy, but I need more money because I deserve it. And you're gonna get it. So do negotiate hard, Aries, at this time. There's also a very high chance, a very high likelihood that if one of your parents has been suffering in some shape or form from anything health related, that they are overcoming a specific type of illness, sickness, or something of that nature. Now, on the 19th of January, the sun moves also to Aquarius in your 11th house. There's a lot of 11th house focus this month for you, my dear Aries. So a lot of like thinking of the future, planning the future, reviewing, revising, revisiting, reshaping your long-term plans. And there's also something about integrating yourself within a new group of people. So you may welcome a new friend in your life, or you may be introduced to a new group of friends this month in particular. Now, on the 20th of January, there can be some sort of like unexpected financial compensation making its way to you when we've got Mars conjunct Uranus in your 2nd house of income. On the 28th of January, my dear Aries, we've got a full moon in Leo at 9 degrees of Leo in your 5th house. And this is a culmination, a completion of a cycle that started in your life around the 18th of August. Have a think about what was underway in your life in August around the 18th, second half of August, because similar types of themes are likely to come to the forefront of your mind around the 20th of Jan, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. You know me, I always take into account the days leading up to the full moon. Now, this is going to be a tense one. I just want to put it out there. We have a culmination or a crisis, depends how you look at it. So rather than asking, why is this happening to me? I would say ask, what do I have to learn from this? And I think I read this somewhere. Someone smarter than me said it. The full moon is triggering your house of children and romantic relationships, and your 11th house of long-term plans, goals, dreams, and also the mentalities that you adhere to and that you share with others. So the moon's going to be in the 5th house. We've got the sun conjunct Jupiter in the 11th house, and we've got Mars conjunct Uranus in the 2nd house. Now, a few things may happen around this time. There may be a clash between you and a romantic partner regarding a long-term plan, and the clash could very well be related to your values and the fact that you have differing values or differing priorities. There can be a clash, once again, there's likely to be a clash, and I'll explain why. Because we've got Mars involved, and Mars is very pushy, and Mars wants to win. And at the time of the full moon, it's a time of compromise. It's a time of finding solutions. So yeah, you're probably going to find a solution, but first you're going to have a face-off, most likely. So you may have a face-off with a romantic partner, or with a friend, or with a child, if you do have children. There might also be a sudden development in the life of one of your kids that requires you to pay for it. And it's like, why do I have to pay for it? Like, why am I involved in this? This is messing up with my own plans. I would strongly recommend that you breathe and you be flexible at the time, because it's going to require quite a bit of flexibility on your part, my dear Aries. Now, on the 28th of January, we've got Venus exactly conjunct Pluto in your 10th house of career. So once again, you are receiving support from bosses, from leadership figures, from institutions. You're appreciated, you're applauded, you're getting exposure. So that's going great. Let me just say, that's going great for you. The month, however, ends with a big bang, with Mercury stationing retrograde at 26 degrees of Aquarius in your 11th house of long-term plans and friends until the 20th of February. So you may have to revisit some of your plans. You may have to go back over some of them. You may think that you are done with some of your long-term projects, and actually a new element, or like an old element that you did not take care of properly, might come to the surface once again. And there's going to be no way around it rather than tackle it. You're not going to be able to like move forward until you take care of this element first. And that, my lovelies, is the month of January. Now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, let me just put it out there. Fixed signs, including you, but also Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. All of us, because I'm an Aquarius, are gonna have to learn to be a little bit more adaptable in the year ahead, because the structures of our lives are in flux. There's big shakeups, and stagnation is not an option, and keeping things as they are is also not an option. So consider yourself warned, Taurus. Now, the surprises and the shakeups are very likely going to work in your favor in the long run, but that might not necessarily make them the most pleasant, because hey, you like things to stay as they are as a fixed sign, and especially if you've got a lot of fixed energy in your chart. I mean, I know I have like 4 planets in fixed signs. So the entire month we've got, but especially from the 6th onwards, we've got Jupiter, Saturn conjunct in Aquarius in your 10th house of career and public status and public reputation, squaring Uranus, and then squaring the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 1st house. And some particularly tough days are probably going to be, some unpleasant days are probably going to be the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. Now, what's happening? Essentially, throughout the entire month, you are dealing with the fact that you can no longer accept a certain figure of authority telling you what to do with your life, essentially. Uranus in the 1st house, and then conjunct Mars, wants you to like break free and say, you know what, I've had enough. I am not doing what you're telling me to do, and I do not believe in your vision any longer. I will put it out there. A lot of you Taurians, especially Taurus risings, may feel compelled to give up on their jobs and to even change career paths this year. It can feel like you can no longer carry the burden of a path professionally that is not in alignment with your authentic self. Throughout the entire month, but especially 19th, 20th, and 21st, you can have clashes with authority figures and with bosses, because you are no longer feeling in the mood to just like go along with it and say, yeah, I'll deal with it later, or yeah, it's not worth my time and energy. You've had enough. And on the one hand, it can feel very freeing. It can feel like you are regaining your sense of freedom once again. But on the other hand, I mean, you're one of the most non-conflictual signs out there, and let me tell you, this month you can be pretty conflictual, especially after the 6th of March, when you have, not 6th of March, 6th of January, because we're still in January, when Mars is moving in your sign. It's like, let's get this done. I am not taking no for an answer, and I don't care who I need to fight. I'm gonna fight them. You're also probably gonna be a lot more active this month, my dear Taurus, because in the past 6 months until the 6th of January, you may have been feeling more tired than usual, more exhausted than usual, and now, like, all of a sudden, your energy levels are going up, and people can find it, like, hard to keep up with you. Now, on the 8th of January, we've got Mercury moving to Aquarius in your 10th house, and also Venus moving to Capricorn in your 9th house. So, there's going to be a lot of talking, a lot of social interaction with bosses, with people in authority, with people from institutions, from the 8th of January onwards in particular. And I gotta say, from the 8th of January, you may also be feeling a lot more positive and optimistic than you have felt, should I say, in the past 3 years? Yes, I'm gonna say it. It's like now you can see the way forward. I also want to put it out there, long distance, not long term. Also long term, but long distance in particular. Long distance travel is very beneficial and very nicely aspected for you from the 8th of January onwards, because you're benefiting from the protection and from the joy of Venus. Now, on the 10th of January, Mercury is exactly conjunct Saturn in your 10th house. There can, like, you seem to be hitting a wall with a career-related matter at this time. Don't allow this to get the better of you, because it's not the end of this matter. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversations, a lot of discussions. So even though you're hitting like a temporary bump, don't think that that you've seen the end of it, and don't think that there's no way forward, because there probably is, but it's going to require you to like keep on pushing and revisiting and reviewing. Now, on the 13th of January, my dear Taurians, we've got a new moon happening in Capricorn at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 9th house of long distance travel, of the higher mind, higher education, and also of your belief system. Sextiling Neptune and Pisces in your 11th house. And at the time, Venus and Capricorn in your 9th house is also going to be trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 1st house. So this is a time 3 days before, 3 days after the 13th of January, when you are probably going to be taking stock of everything that's been happening in your life in the past 3 years. So from December 2017 till the end of 2020. And you're going to realize, would you look at me, I'm so much smarter and wiser, and I have like such a broad perspective of the world, and I'm so knowledgeable, and my belief system has expanded, and it can feel hugely empowering. It's like, it's a moment of intense epiphany, and all of a sudden it starts to make sense. It's like you look at the world and you see the big picture. You're on the mountaintop and you look down and it's like, oh, now I get it. Now I realize why I've been hitting these like bumps in the roads, why I've been feeling down, why I've been feeling like my beliefs have been like challenged, because your belief system has been restructured completely in the past 3 years with Saturn cruising through this part of your chart. And now you're realizing why, and now you are taking stock and seeing, I get where I was narrow-minded. It can also be a time when you are embarking upon a new academic course of study. Now, on the 19th of January, the Sun is also joining the party in your 10th house, where you've got Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, everyone's there. It's a big, big party career-wise. So this epiphany that you're having around the 13th, that is also reflecting back on themes that have been playing out in your life in the past 3 years, may very well be linked with the decisions that you start making career-wise and in terms of professional path. On the 20th of January, I really, really want you to be very careful not to like hurt yourself, not to kind of like move too fast and like not pay attention to the cars when you're crossing the road, or not pay too much attention when you're using sharp tools, because Mars is conjunct Uranus, and this is a bit of an accident-prone type of aspect. But if you're careful and if you don't rush into things, you're not gonna drop anything like on your foot, for instance. I'm just giving you an example. On the 28th of January, but I would also give it 3 days before or 3 days after, my lovely Taurians, you have a full moon happening in Leo in your 4th house. And this is a bit of a challenging one, and I'll explain why. So, first things first. This is playing back to the new moon on the 18th of August. So have a think about what was happening in your home life, in a parent's life, in your residence, in your property, but also emotionally what you were dealing with, what sort of emotional pain from the past was resurfacing at the time. Because now you're completing a 6-month cycle, and you're probably realizing the meaning of everything that you have been going through in the past 6 months. And it ain't pleasant. There's a T-square in the sky between the moon and Leo in the 4th house of home and family and your emotional life. The sun conjunct Jupiter and Aquarius in the 10th house, and Mars conjunct Uranus in the 1st house. So a few things may happen around this time. You may decide to leave your job because you can't take it anymore. It's like, I'm done, bye. You may actually realize that you have to move houses, and therefore, or like move altogether, and therefore you've got to leave your job because you're going to move someplace else, and it's breaking your heart a little bit because you're very attached to your job. You may have a big fight with a family member, but in the grand scheme of things, this is clarifying, and this is resurfacing and helping you heal. So it's important to keep in mind that it's all for the greater good. Helping you heal some of your childhood trauma and some of the painful emotional events that you have possibly been keeping buried under wraps for ages. So my recommendation would be to deal with it head on, but also be careful because it can really escalate with Mars conjunct Uranus in the 1st house, and you can say things and you can act very impulsively and then regret it. So your proverbial like cautiousness and patience, please use it around this time. Now, the month ends with a bang, like with a big bang. Let me just put it out there. There are chances that a lot of like Taurus, especially Taurus risings, they might move abroad for work. And I do see this in like in a few different parts of their chart. The fact that the full moon at the time of the full moon, we've got Venus conjunct Pluto in your 9th house, which is associated with foreign lands and foreign countries. On the 29th, we've got the sun conjunct Jupiter, which is also associated with foreign lands and foreign countries in your house of career. And then on the 30th of January, we've got Mercury going retrograde in your house of career till the 20th of February. So it's almost as if you need to go back and review some of your career-related plans altogether. Now, my lovely Gemini suns and Gemini risings, what does January have in store for you? Well, first and foremost, I gotta say, it's gonna be a month to remember because there is a huge shift in energy compared to last year, compared to 2022. And some of the themes that are gonna be emerging in your life this month, you're gonna feel them throughout most of 2021. So let me start breaking them down. Throughout the entire month, but stronger after the 6th of January, when Mars moves into Taurus in your 12th house. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 9th house is going to be squaring first Uranus and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 12th house. And some of the tougher days of this meetup between the big players in astrology are going to be the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of Jan. Now, what is this whole theme speaking of? So first and foremost, I gotta say your Gemini energy blends very beautifully, very well with the Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, because it is trining you. So you are enjoying the change in air, pun intended. The entire month, you may feel like your current belief system is being challenged. It's being expanded, it's being challenged. Elements out of your field of vision are coming to the surface, information that you may not have been privy to. Also, all sorts of unexpected elements playing out behind the scenes that had not featured in your overview of the world and in your belief system and in your overall mentality. They're throwing a spanner in the works, so to speak, mentally. So you're being challenged to expand your belief system. You are being challenged to expand your view of the world. And you're also being challenged to expand how you see the big picture, as they say. You may be also feeling like you are going through a period of struggling with any sort of faith that you might have, anything that you believe in. Even not believing in a certain type of God or divinity is also a specific type of faith, and that seems to be challenged as well. Now on the 5th of January, Mercury, which is your ruler, is going to be exactly conjunct Pluto in your 8th house. So this is a day when you may be having some sort of psychological revelation. And it's almost as if you're feeling very, very strongly that you have to deal with a topic that you might have preferred to keep hidden or under wraps or away from your train of thought. But nevertheless, it is coming to the surface. You may be thinking a lot about death and about your own mortality on this day. I know, a lot of fun, right? Now, on the 6th of Jan, Mars is moving from Aries. It's been spending the past 6 months in Aries in the 11th house associated with long-term plans and groups of people, to Taurus in your 12th house. So for the next 2 months, so from the 6th of Jan till the 3rd of March, actually, Mars in the 12th house is probably going to decrease a little bit your level of physical energy. It can be a time when you may be feeling more tired than usual, Gemini. It can also be a time when you're not sleeping very well, when you're suffering from insomnia, when even if you feel like you're tired, you can't rest that well. I know, also a lot of fun. But hey, there's good stuff as well. From the 8th of January, Mercury is moving to Aquarius in your 9th house. There's going to be a lot of 9th house focus this month, my dear Geminis. There is a very, very high likelihood this month that you may you may find yourself in the company of people who can be in some shape or form your teachers or your mentors, and especially I would say after the 8th of January onwards. Now, from the 8th of January, there's also another move happening till the end of the month. Venus ingresses into Capricorn until the end of the month in your 8th house. So it is a time, it's a beautiful, beautiful time to share with a partner. It's a beautiful time to focus on your intimate partnerships in general. It's a beautiful time to save time in your diary and your schedule for intimacy. And you may be called indeed to give a lot more of your energy to your intimate partnerships. Now, from the 8th of January till the end of the month, you may also receive some sort of financial gift, because the 8th house is also associated with financial gifts, and Venus brings joy there, so that can be an actual translation. Now, on the 13th of January, we have a new moon happening in Capricorn at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 8th house. And this is going to be a beautiful new moon. You are going to breathe a huge sigh of relief Geminis. The new moon is going to be sextiling Neptune in Pisces in your 10th house, and at the time of the new moon, Venus in Capricorn in your 8th house is going to be trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 12th house. So, what's cooking? What is going on? In the past 3 years, from December 2017 until the end of 2020, you have been going through some huge psychological transformations. It's also very possible that you may have encountered some difficulties in terms of finances that involved a third party, such as a partner. It is very possible for those of you who have partners or who are in committed partnerships that your partner may have had some tough times money-wise, and you had to chip in more than usual. If you have been struggling to get financing for any sort of project that you may have career-wise, I gotta tell you, you're probably going to be receiving very, very good news around the 13th of Jan, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. So all the struggle that you have been going through in the past 3 years, you're finally seeing the results, and they're very positive results. The situation is turning around in such a way that it might even seem out of this world. It might even seem like a fantasy a little bit, like a story a little bit, when we've got that Neptune very beautifully aspected involved. You've been very tested psychologically, mentally, financially in the past 3 years, and you seem to have overcome some major fears, and you're becoming aware of that, my dear Geminis. So the 13th of Jan and the days before and the days after, they are very, very powerful times, but especially on an internal level more than anything. Now, from the 19th of January, the sun moves to Aquarius, joining the Aquarius party in your 9th house of society, of legal matters, of long-distance travel. By the way, like throughout the entire month, you might be making long-distance travel plans, Geminis. However, I'm like, you might be making plans. However, you seem to be hitting a little bit of a wall around the 24th of January. Maybe it's related to visa, documentation, paperwork. There does seem to be like a legal hurdle for you to jump over. And you may hear of it. You may find out about it around the 28th of Jan. Now, a very steaming hot day, Geminis, is the 28th of January, when we've got Venus conjunct Pluto exactly in the 8th house. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. This is a great time for sex. I'm just gonna put it out there for you. Last but not least, on the 28th of Jan still, we've got a full moon happening in Leo, my dear Geminis. And Leo blends well, the Leo energy blends well with yours. Leo is actually sextiling you. So what's going on here? So this is a challenging time, the 28th of January, for most signs, but not for you. Not for you, and I'll explain why. As I said, because your energy blends well with both the energy of the moon in Leo and also of the sun in Aquarius. So you're one of the lucky few who is probably going to enjoy this time. The full moon is happening in your 3rd house, and we have a big T-square between the moon and the 3rd house of communication and siblings, and short distance travel, opposing the sun conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius in the 9th house, and squaring, there's going to be squares to Mars conjunct Uranus in the 12th house. So, travel plans, I'm going to say you're probably going to have to be very flexible. You might be making them, but you're going to have to be very flexible about them, because they are in flux. There are quite a few spanners in the work being prepared for you, Geminis. But you're taking things very much in your stride, and you're adapting very quickly and very smoothly. The one thing that may be harder to deal with is the fact that you seem to be very tired and sick of people. It's like, why do I have to talk to you all the time? There could actually be some sort of a face-off with a hidden enemy. You might realize that someone was like talking S-H-I, and I'm gonna stop at that because I imagine you can spell. Someone was talking nonsense about you, and you may find out about it, and you're going to confront them, and at the same time you really don't want it to turn into a full-fledged fight, but you got to be open about it, and you're probably gonna come out a winner, because you seem to be in the right. Nevertheless, it can be quite a painful piece of news to hear that someone's been talking things about you that are untrue. There's something about a lack of sincerity coming to the surface. Now, the month is ending on the 30th of Jan, with Mercury stationing retrograde in Aquarius until the 20th of February in your 9th house. So you're probably going to be revisiting some legal matters. Long distance plans are going to be revisited as well. Any sort of like studies are probably going to have to be postponed possibly, or delayed a little bit due to paperwork issues. It's temporary, but at the same time, it does require you to be to keep your cool, to keep your calm, which can actually prove a little bit of a struggle for a lot of people in January. Now, my dear Cancerians, Cancer Suns and Cancer Risings. I'm a Cancer Rising myself, so hey, what I'm going to talk to you about now is going to apply to me as well. So the entire month, we are going to be feeling the effects of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in our 8th house, squaring Uranus first, and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in the 11th house. Some of the tougher days of this meetup in the sky are going to be the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of Jan. Now, what's happening? Essentially, the aspects between these big players are probably going to bring in themes in January that are going to be at the top of your mind for the next year. So you're not seeing the end of this, my lovely Cancerians, or anyone else for that matter. So if you're looking for a quick fix, you're probably not going to have a quick fix, because this is a theme that is unfolding over time for you. Now, what seems to be happening? What seems to be the problem, officer? Essentially, you may be in need of an investor, or of a loan, or of a third party, such as a bank or such as a partner. You may be in need of their financial support in order to put your long-term plans into, or one of your long-term plans into practice. Now, you're not feeling great about asking them for money, and there also seem to be all sorts of like hurdles and all sorts of like bureaucratic obstacles to jump through in order to get their support. But you're gonna have to play along, if you ask me. This is a time of flexibility, and if you do have a long-term plan that you are very eager to move forward with, you're probably going to realize that you can't do it by yourself. So that's where the frustration may come from. You've overcome some very challenging times, but also very exhilarating times in the past 6 months career-wise, and now you're looking to the future. Now you're like, okay, what's next? What's next is you're going to need help. Financial and otherwise. Now, there might also be, you might hear of some challenging news. It can go in either respect. You might hear of some challenging news related to an investment, or to an inheritance, or insurance, or a lump sum of money making its way to you throughout Jan. And this piece of news might be at the top of your mind throughout the whole of 2021. Now, challenging could also be all of a sudden you have to cash in on an investment, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this money? Or there's multiple people involved, and you've got to all come together and figure out the best solution, and there's a lot of negotiation, and you'd probably prefer to do it all kind of like by yourself. It's like, just gonna go in my bubble and do my thing, but it ain't gonna be possible if you ask me. So, patience, my dear Cancerians. Now, from the 6th of Jan, as I've mentioned, Mars moves from Aries in your house of career to Taurus in your 11th house. So for the next 12 months, boy, are you going to be busy meeting people, meeting friends, making plans. Probably there's going to be quite a few people, new people stepping into your life. Big word of advice here, don't fight people, because you might be in the mood to kind of like get feisty. It's like I'm talking to myself. Don't fight them. I'm like, oh no, why? Why can't I fight them? It's gonna be fun. No, don't. You're gonna have to learn to be a good negotiator, my dear Cancerian. From the 8th of January till the end of the month, Venus is gonna be cruising through Capricorn in your 7th house. And by the way, this month, partnership-wise, not only are you gonna be benefiting from the Venusian love, so you're going to feel very loved from the 8th onwards. Generally, all sorts of like interactions with the public seem to be very nicely aspected because people like you. What can I say? They like you more than usual. You're also going to be reaping the rewards of the work that you have put into building partnerships in the past 3 years. And you may become very aware of that around the 13th of January when you've got the new moon in Capricorn in your 7th house of marriage and long-term partnerships. Sextiling Neptune in Pisces in the 9th house. And Venus at the time of the new moon is going to be trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 11th house. What does that mean? Okay, so new beginning, partnership-wise, you are entering a new chapter. For some people, this is going to mean a new official relationship. For other people, it's going to mean meeting someone new. For some people, it's going to mean looking back at the past 3 years and realizing that their expectations from long-term partnerships and committed relationships have changed. For some people, it's going to mean a new business partnership entering your life. I would not be surprised, I gotta tell you, if you traveled with a partner around this time, especially long distance travel, or if you started making plans, because that Neptune in Pisces in the 9th house says, I want to go away from here. If you are involved in any sort of like social events with a potential romantic partner or a long-term partner, you're gonna feel very welcome, very loved, very appreciated in public, in society with this person. It's exhilarating. You have overcome like probably like one of the toughest periods in your life between December 2017 and the end of 2020, partnership-wise, ever. The world is spinning in your favor once again, my dear Cancerians, although it might take you a little bit of time to actually kind of like reset your mindset, because you've been so used to people kind of like fighting you and pushing against you in the past 3 years that it might actually take you by surprise. It's like, you want to go along with my ideas? I don't have to like prove to you. I don't have to like push against you. I don't have to kind of like stand my ground. Okay, what is this? You want to collaborate? Yes, they want to collaborate. From the 19th of Jan, the sun moves to Aquarius in your 8th house. So there's a lot of 8th house emphasis this month for you, my dear Cancerians. And actually, throughout this whole year, you may hear you may once again hear news of a joint investment or of your shared resources with a potential partner, be it business, be it romantic, around the 19th of Jan. Now, on the 28th of January, 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon happening in Leo, at 9 degrees of Leo in your 2nd house. And this is a challenging one because it involves a T-square. T-squares are formed of an opposition and two squares to like an apex planet. So the moon in Leo in the 2nd house, Sun conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius in the 8th house, and Mars conjunct Uranus in the 11th house are involved in the T-square. Look back at where you were putting your money and what you were doing with your finances around the 18th of August 2020 at the new moon in Leo, because now essentially what seems to be happening is you are reaping the rewards of your financial investments, and you've got to decide what you do with your money long term. Now, there can be people coming to you to collect any debts that you may have, towards them in general. You may also, if you are expecting money from someone else, you may hear of some sort of delay. And I gotta say, delay seems to be the key word, because on the 30th of Jan, Mercury is also stationing retrograde in this part of your chart of shared resources until the 20th of Feb. So if you have been waiting on approval on a loan, or if you have been waiting on someone to pay their debt towards you, it might actually take a little bit longer than you expected. So don't despair, it's coming, but it's probably going to come a little bit longer than you wanted it to, and you're going to have to delay some of your plans because of it. Now, my dear Leos, welcome to your January horoscope. What can you expect from the first month of the year of 2021? Well, you can expect it to set the major themes unfolding in your life for pretty much the next year moving forward, especially if we are looking at the big players in astrology, at some of them, not all of them, but Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus in particular. So let's start dissecting your month. So throughout the entire month, you may be seeing themes emerging from the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction happening in Aquarius in your 7th house of partnerships, squaring Uranus, and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 10th house. And some tougher days from this aspect, when Mars is going to be conjunct Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house, are going to be the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of January. So what's happening? Throughout the entire month, you might be feeling like a relationship with a person in authority, with a boss, with a leader, is not going great. It's deteriorating, and it's deteriorating very fast. And it is deteriorating so fast that you're thinking of leaving. It's like, I'm done with this. I'm getting out of here. I need to change something big in my career. And indeed, you might feel compelled to push for more independence, for more autonomy, for setting up your own business, for setting up your own gig career-wise, professionally. And you seem to be triggered by some serious opposition, or as you would call it, narrow-mindedness, from someone who's got a lot of clout professionally for you. Now, there might also be a lot of negotiation happening throughout the entire month between you and an existing partner in your life related to your professional path. So how are these negotiations likely to play out? Well, I've got a Leo in my life who, for instance, is planning to leave behind their career here in the UK and move to another country to be with their long-term partner. So go figure. Essentially, like, they're in the process of reshuffling their entire professional path because they are accommodating the needs of and the existence of a long-term partner in their life. So that is one very clear aspect of how this can play out. And by the way, this theme, as I said, is not ending in Jan. It's not going to end for quite some time. You're going to feel it throughout the entire year. So my biggest recommendation is patience. Don't, like, Rome wasn't built in a day, and don't get super frustrated if things don't move as quickly as you would like them to move. You may also be feeling a little bit unsupported by a significant other in your life related to your career plans. And once again, there's a need here to open up. There's a need here to discuss. There's a need to readjust. Because if you'd rather have things the way they are, as we speak, it's unlikely to stay like this. You, along with all the other fixed signs, are going to see major reshuffling and restructuring happening in your life throughout the whole of 2021. So maintaining the status quo is not going to be an option. And you'll see what I'm talking about. So the sooner you accept that, and the sooner you kind of like set yourself in motion, the better, I would say. Now, from the 6th of January until the 3rd of March, Mars is moving from Aries, where it spent the past 6 months, in your 9th house of long distance travel and society and the higher mind. It was a great place for you Leos to have Mars, because essentially the Aries energy blends super well with yours. It's trining your rising or your sun. It's moving into Taurus. Mars is moving into Taurus, into your 10th house. So for the next 2 months, you are going to be action oriented, hustling, taking the initiative, and putting probably like most of your energy into professional matters. It's like things can't stay the way they are, so you are very inclined to making changes and sweeping changes at that. Now, the one thing that I want to caution against is conflicts with authority figures, which are very likely in the next 2 months. Let me just put it out there. Now, from the 8th of January, Mercury joins the Aquarius party and moves into your 7th house of long-term partnerships. Big focus this month on career and long-term partnerships and how you can blend the two. Now, from the 8th of January till the end of the month, I gotta say, you seem to be getting along super well with your coworkers and with the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. So Venus is moving into Capricorn till the end of the month in your 6th house. Therefore, people that you work with, they want to collaborate with you. Now, you might not be having that easy a time with bosses, but your colleagues are very much on your side. Now, if you are thinking of making any sort of health-related changes that support your good looks, my dear Leos, you are beautifully aspected from the 8th of January onwards, and you're probably going to see the aesthetic benefits literally by the end of the month, so to speak. So if you're thinking of, like, I don't know, joining the gym again, or drinking more water, for instance, to get better skin, you're probably, as I said, going to see that it's working in a few weeks' time. So by the end of Jan. So do it. If you needed a sign, this is it. This is your sign. Now, on the 13th of January, give or take 3 days before or 3 days after, we've got a new moon in Capricorn in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. And this is also sextiling, which is a collaborative aspect. Neptune in Pisces in your 8th house of shared resources, other people's money, and psychological transformation. What's going on? In the past 3 years, from December 2017 until the end of 2020, you have gone through some of the toughest work-related chapters and health-related chapters in your life. You have overhauled, upgraded, updated your daily schedule and routine. You may have felt like you've had a hard time finding satisfying work or finding a feeling of fulfillment in your work. You may have felt like what you're doing work-wise is not satisfactory enough, so it hasn't been easy, and it's getting a lot easier, and you seem to be collecting some of the rewards of your hard work as early as the 13th of January, 3 days before, 3 days after. So some folks are going to get a new job around this time, just to put it out there. Some folks may go to the doctors and get like a checkup and realize, would you look at this? I'm so much healthier right now. And it is all due to the work and the diligence and the discipline that you have been putting into maintaining and improving your general health and wellness and well-being in the past 3 years. Now, what I'm also liking, if you are getting a new job, my dear Leos, you might be called onto a new project. What I'm also liking is the fact that at the time of the new moon in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, which is the bringer of benefits, it's the small benefic, although she ain't small at all, is going to be trying the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 10th house of career. So if you are getting a new position, it's likely to come with more responsibility and more authority. So that innate leadership skill that you've got is getting a lot more exposure. It's placing you in the limelight, my dear Leos. Now, on the 14th of Jan, we've got the Sun conjunct Pluto in your 6th house in Capricorn. You may be feeling the sweeping changes of how much your work life has evolved in the past 3 years, and it's like it's hitting you in the face. It's like, okay, this is real. Then from the 19th of Jan, the Sun joins the Aquarius party in your house of marriage and long-term partnerships. You're going to have to really change how you live and change the structures of your life to accommodate this new long-term partner or an existing long-term partner, my dear Leos. And consider yourselves warned throughout the whole of next year. On the 20th of Jan, we've got the exact conjunction between Mars and Uranus in your 10th house, which it can play either way. It can make you feel very impatient. It can make you feel very feisty. And at the same time, it can really make you stand up for your rights and for what you deserve career-wise. Now, on the 28th of Jan, we've got a full moon, and it's active 3 days before, 3 days after, at 9 degrees of Leo in your first house of identity and of the physical body. Now, this can be a little bit of a tense one because we've got the following. The moon and Leo in your first house, opposite the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius in the 7th house, and both of these squaring the Mars-Uranus conjunction in your 10th house. So look back at the 18th of August, 2020 to see what was going on in your life at the new moon in Leo at the time, because this is a completion of a 6-month cycle. So some of you folks may actually realize that you are about to change your life completely and your status and your reputation and your career path due to a partner, due to the emergence or the crystallization of a new long-term partnership in your life. It can be a romantic partnership, but it can very well be a business partnership as well. If you've been thinking of starting your own business, you're going to realize, actually, I could use a partner, and you're probably going to find it around the 28th of January. Now, last but not least, on the 30th of January, we've got Mercury stationing retrograde in Aquarius until the 20th of Feb in your 7th house. So throughout this time frame, there might be a lot of negotiations with potential business partners, an older partner, or like an ex-partner, an ex-partner. Might reappear into your life, and it could make you doubt for a short moment in time. It could make you doubt your existing partnership. You may also find yourself possibly feeling a little bit misunderstood, like your words aren't landing exactly where you want them to land when it comes to the people that you interact with. So I would recommend, literally from the 20th of Jan onwards, because we've got to take into account the shadow period as well, to really make sure that the people who you interact with and who you consult in any shape or form, to really make sure that they get your message, because they might not get your message, or they might misunderstand your message, and it's important to make sure that things don't get lost in translation, because it can result in some huge headaches, and you don't want that. So consider yourselves warned, Leos, but also, how exciting is it that we are talking about January 2021? I'm so excited. Aren't you excited? Now, let us move on to my dear Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings. What can you expect from the first month of 2021? It's 2021, folks. I keep on reminding myself. So, throughout the entire month, but especially after the 6th of Jan, when Mars moves into Taurus, you're going to feel the influence of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 6th house of day-to-day work, squaring first to Uranus, and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 9th house. And some of the tougher days of the month are when Mars is exactly conjunct, Uranus in Taurus, are the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of January. So, this entire month, you're probably going to be feeling the pressure to expand your knowledge, to expand your skill set. in a way that is supportive of your day-to-day work. You may also realize that some of your previous beliefs related to your day-to-day work and also related to your health and your general state of wellness and well-being, they're no longer helping you. They're no longer serving you. There's also a very, very high likelihood that you may realize you have to adapt some of the ways that you have been interacting with coworkers and with the people that you work with in order to achieve your objectives. Essentially, your way of thinking is going to be very, very challenged in many ways in the next year, because this month is setting the scene for the next year, for 2021 for you. Your way of thinking related to work, related to daily schedule and routine, and also related to your health, it's challenged and it gotta change. Like, when we've got big players involved, it means that there is a bigger karmic lesson for us to learn. And you might realize some of the habits that you may have had, even mental habits, have been impacting your health in not such a great way. And also some of the habits that you had related to your work, they don't make sense anymore. They're not relevant anymore. They also need to evolve. There is a need for an expansion of vision related to health matters and work matters and your daily habits and routines, my dear Virgos. Now, from the 6th of January, Mars moves from Aries, where it's spent the past 6 months in your 8th house, to Taurus in your 9th house. So from the 6th of Jan till the 3rd of March, there is a very, very high likelihood that you may be called to travel, most likely away, quite far from home, but also spend a lot more time out in society. It's going to be a very, very social time, and you are going to be called to get much more involved with groups of people, and also defend your belief system and your faith, and defend why you approach the world in the way that you approach it, my dear Virgo. And be prepared for the world around you to put one hell of a fight, and also be prepared for your mentalities to be questioned and challenged, and be prepared to grow, because you're probably not going to be right all the time. So be prepared to grow in this area. Now, there is a possibility that you may be involved in some sort of legal matter, where you have to defend your rights in a court of law between the 6th of Jan and more strongly until the 3rd of March. So that could also happen. Now, from the 8th of January, Mercury joins the party in Aquarius in your 6th house of day-to-day work. And also from the 8th, Venus moves into Capricorn in your 5th house. So from the 8th until the end of the month, there is quite a lot working in your favor romantically. You may be feeling more flirtatious than usual from the 8th onwards. You may be feeling more in the mood for love than you have felt in a very long time. You've been having some very tough years, the past 3 years, when Saturn has been going through Capricorn, from December 2017 until the end of 2020. The past 3 years have been quite challenging romantically. So now, all of a sudden, you realize, and I gotta say, the moon on the new moon on the 13th of January is also contributing to that. You're realizing, actually, the hardest part is over. And indeed, the toughest part, probably one of the toughest chapters for you romantically, my dear Virgos, is over, and it's hitting you, and you start enjoying love and romance again, and you also start enjoying fun and getting out and doing things for the pure purpose of like pleasure from the 8th onwards, because pleasure hasn't really been in the cards for you in the past 3 years that much, with Saturn in the 5th house of entertainment. So I did mention the new moon happening on the 13th of January in Capricorn. It's essentially ushering in this new beginning after 3 years of struggle romantically, after 3 years of possibly feeling unloved or possibly feeling like relationship matters have been like so hard, and romance has been like so elusive, and fun has been so elusive, and also possibly feeling uninspired in the last 3 years, because the 5th house is also the house of creativity. You're realizing, hey, I'm getting my mojo back. I'm getting my inspiration back around the 13th of Jan, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. And you are ready to shout it out to the whole world, because the new moon is going to be at the time of the new moon. We've got Venus in Capricorn in the same part of your chart, trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 9th house. Now, if you can travel with a romantic partner around this time, it's probably going to be a trip to remember in the best of ways, Virgo. So do it, do it, do it, do it. What are you waiting for? Now, on the 14th of January, we've got the Sun conjunct Pluto in the 5th house in Capricorn. So once again, this contributes to the feeling of rebirth in the area of love, romance, and creative inspiration. And from the 19th of January, the Sun joins the Aquarius party in the 6th house of day-to-day work. And on the 24th, the Sun is going to be conjunct Saturn in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So this is not one of the most exciting days, let's put it this way, work-wise. You may feel like you're hitting a wall, a bureaucratic wall, an administrative wall, a procedural wall around work-related matters on the 24th. Also, you may be feeling very much depleted of energy around the 24th, because Saturn is restriction and the Sun is our vital energy. So something's got to give, something's got to change. You can't keep kind of like going about your routine, your day-to-day routine, work included, in the same way that you have been going, my dear Virgos. Now, on the 28th of January, we've got a full moon happening in Leo at 9 degrees of Leo in your 12th house. And this one is triggering the 12th house, 6th house axis, so the axis of service and health. And it is also aspecting Mars conjunct Uranus in the 9th house. It's in a tense aspect with Mars conjunct Uranus in the 9th house. So around the 28th of Jan, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, I will put it out there, you may go through a health or a work-related crisis, or both together. So if you are experiencing anything health-related, it can be due to stress generated by a work matter. So what I would strongly recommend is to look for solutions rather than pointing fingers, because you may be very tempted to point fingers and say, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, your way of looking at things is wrong. And it's not helping anyone. It's not bringing matters to an end. On the contrary. Now, you may also be very openly challenged work-wise around this time. And your approach to doing things, your methods, and your way of going about your day-to-day work are going to be put under the microscope, and it's going to feel intense, and it's going to make you feel like you want to fight everyone off. Be prepared to defend your methods, be prepared to stand your ground, but also be prepared to find a middle ground and to find a solution that works for all, rather than being stuck into I'm right and you're wrong. As I said, it's not promoting a resolution at all. I would also recommend looking back at what was going on around the 18th of August, 2020, because this full moon is bringing a culmination, a completion to a stage in your life that started around the around that time, around the middle of August 2020. It's also possible that you may hear of some sort of like legal hurdles that keep you from doing your job in the way you'd want to do your job. So that may also be very, very frustrating around this full moon. So consider yourselves warned, my dear Virgos. Now, on the 30th of Jan, Mercury is stationing retrograde in Aquarius at 26 degrees of Aquarius till the 20th of Feb in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So old work issues, they are coming to your attention once again, and you thought you were done with them, and you're actually not done with them. So patience, go over things, go over I would say even conversations that you had or agreements that you had with stakeholders, because they don't seem to be permanent and they don't seem to have reached their destination in the way that you intended them to. There may be old clients reaching back and not necessarily being very friendly about it. So people might feel, it might feel like the people that you interact with work-wise are in a fighting mode. So don't get dragged into it and focus on the facts, essentially, because the facts do not lie. But you're probably going to have to repeat yourself many, 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 many times. My dear Libras, welcome to your January horoscope. I really want to hear how you're feeling after 3 years of Saturn having been squaring your sign, and any other planets that you may have had in Libra. I gotta tell you, the next 2.5 years, you're probably gonna be feeling a lot better, and you're going to look at them as being a lot easier in terms of general energy, because both Jupiter and Saturn are going to be in Aquarius, blending very nicely with your own air energy. So, you did it! What is going on in January, though? I'm getting distracted. I'm getting excited for you. So, throughout the entire month, but especially after the 6th of Jan, when Mars moves into Taurus in your 8th house of intimacy, partnerships on an intimate level, and shared resources. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 5th house of romantic love, children, creativity, is going to be squaring first Uranus and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 8th house. And some of the more challenging days, or when the energy is felt at its most intense, is when Mars is exactly conjunct Uranus and Taurus on the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. Now, what's going on? Even though we're talking here about big players in astrology, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Mars, who's not exactly a big player, but don't tell Mars that. I've got to say, there is a very nice blend of 5th house, 8th house matters. So let me put it to you this way. Throughout the entire month, your passion levels may be going through the roof. It's a time throughout the entire month when you're going to be feeling horny, very much wanting to connect on an intimate level with your romantic partners. If you are not in a long-term relationship, then you can connect for shorter bursts of time, as in flirt. Sparks are gonna fly from both sides, both ends. It is a time when you may be feeling ready to let your hair down and have some fun romantically and enjoy the intimate presence of others in your life. Now, if you are single by some twist of fate, there's very likely going to be quite a few interesting opportunities for flirtation, romance, that sort of thing. And it can be actually really fun, because with both Jupiter and Saturn in your 5th house, which is also associated with enjoyment and fun, contacting Uranus, which is very electric, the fun can get very naughty very quickly. It can take you by surprise. It can have a very sudden surprise type of feel to it. So I really like it for you, just to put it out there. For those of you who have kids, though, I do want to flag, the 5th house is also associated with children, and there may be some face-offs. There may be some arguments, some conflicts with children in general, especially around the 19th, 20th, and the 21st. Now, on the 6th of January, as I've mentioned, Mars moves from Aries in your 7th house of long-term partnerships to Taurus in your 8th house. Now, in the past 6 months, you may have reevaluated your one-to-one committed relationships and partnerships. For those of you who are in a relationship and who have been in a relationship in the past 6 months since July 2020, there may have been open arguments and conflicts, and you may have felt like your partner has been more aggressive and impulsive than usual towards you. For those of you who are single, you may have felt like there were quite a few options romantically, but not too much essentially may have come together. There was a lot of back and forth. There was Mars going retrograde. So maybe some false starts. Now I've got to say you're over it. You have overhauled, revamped your partnership sector altogether. Some people have actually, throughout this time frame, Libra risings in particular, some have actually ended relationships. Now Mars is moving into your 8th house for the next 2 months. And this is a time to really dig deep into what are your needs in an intimate relationship and how you assert dominance in an intimate relationship. Because even though you're a Libra, you still need to assert yourself. So that's probably going to be on your mind quite a bit in the next 2 months. Now, from the 8th of January, Mercury moves into Aquarius, joining the Aquarius party in your 5th house of love, romance, and children, and creativity. And on the 8th of January, Venus moves to Capricorn in your 4th house. So what's going on? Essentially, you're probably going to be in a mood to party tremendously after the 8th onwards. And you're also probably going to be feeling a lot more creative after the 8th of January until pretty much the end of Feb. Let me put it out there for you. From the 8th of January till the end of the month, you're going to be feeling much more welcome at home, and your levels of affection may go up when it comes to your family members. You're probably going to enjoy spending time in their company a lot more, and I wouldn't be surprised if between the 8th of January and the end of the month, I wouldn't be surprised if you bought some nice things for the home and also for your family members as well. Now, on the 13th of January, we've got the new moon in Capricorn. You've been waiting for this. I bet you have. At 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 4th house of home and family. New beginning, home-wise. You are essentially ending fully, officially, astrologically, the past 3 years of hardship related to home, family-related matters, and also emotional ties to your childhood and to your home place, to your home country. I really like this new moon because Venus is going to be in kind of like in close quarters to the moon in your 4th house, trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in your 8th house. Some folks might actually receive approval of like mortgages around this time to buy a new home. Some people may be inclined to start doing renovations. You are essentially overcoming a big blockage related to the family that you have been dealing with, and like to the living situation that you have been dealing with in the past 3 years. So congratulations. Now we also have a lot of focus on 4th house and 5th house matters. So family, but also children and creativity and love throughout the entire month of January. The sun is going to be conjuncting Pluto in the 4th house in Capricorn on the 14th. So right after the new moon, you can literally feel regenerated. It's like the old family chapter or like home related chapter is dead, gone, buried, bye. Out with the old, in with the phoenix. Then on the 24th of January, we are going to have the sun conjunct Saturn in your 5th house in Aquarius after the sun has moved into Aquarius and joined the party on the 19th. I will put it out there, Libra risings, especially like those who can, there's something about getting a new baby into your life. It can be an actual kid, like getting pregnant, but it could also be getting a pet or starting a new creative project that you can treat like your own baby and kind of like starting to think about it, starting to focus on it after the 8th of January in particular. And it kind of like evolves throughout the month. Now, last but not least, the month ends on the 20th of January. There's actually 2 very important events at the end of the month. 20th of January, full moon in Leo in your 11th house. This is triggering your 11th house, 5th house axis. So your own, your own individual sense of self-expression and the groups of people that you belong to, as well as dreams for the future, long-term objectives. Now, this one's likely to be a bit of a challenging one because there seems to be kind of like a clash between, on the one hand, your plans for the future, with the moon in your 11th house, and the sun conjunct Jupiter in your 5th house of creative self-expression and romance. And then we've got a square from the full moon to Mars conjunct Uranus in the 8th house. I would say look back at the themes that came up into your life around the 18th of August, 2020, at the new moon in Leo, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. There can be a culmination of a long-term plan happening around the 28th of January. There can be some not so great information that comes to the surface related to one of your friends. So there may be a bit of an unexpected surprise, kind of like a secret coming to the surface related to one of your friends. You may also be denied some sort of financing, or you may hear news that you gotta put your party on hold for a second because you've got some bills to pay and some debts that are overdue. And they're knocking at your door and you can't move forward into the future until you sort these out. And let me tell you, the month ends on the 30th of January with Mercury's going retrograde, folks. Again, I know. In your 5th house of true love and creativity, at 26 degrees of Aquarius till the 20th of February, you're going to start having a good long think about a romantic interest of yours. There's going to be exes entering your life, let me tell you this, around this time. And possibly a creative project that you thought was done, dusted, and delivered. It comes back knocking at your door saying, have you thought about these various details? And you probably haven't, and you're going to have to deal with them. So that is January for my lovely Libras. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, welcome to your January horoscope. So what's happening? Throughout the entire month, but especially after the 6th of January, when Mars moves into Taurus in your 7th house. By the way, are you throwing a party or are you not throwing a party? Because any sort of like health issues that you may have been having in the past 6 months are over after the first week of Jan. I'm like, yay! So throughout the entire month, but stronger after the 6th of January, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 4th house of home and family is going to be squaring Uranus first, and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 7th house of long-term partnerships. Okay, so the entire month you're feeling immense pressure because we are talking here about big players, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. You're probably going to be feeling immense pressure coming from your partner related to a family matter, or coming from your family related to a partnership matter. You may actually feel like one of your family members or your committed partner feels a little bit like an open adversary, an opponent. They are really challenging you and questioning you. Something's gotta change. I will put it out there. There is kind of like a big, this is fixed energy here, and if you don't change it, it's going to crack, and it's going to crack some of the structures in your life. Something's got to change related to your living situation that also takes into account a committed partnership. So you may move from a partner, or you might move in with a partner, depending on what stage you are at. But there are going to be massive shifts. I gotta tell you, massive shifts related to your living situation that are going to start rearing their head to the surface throughout January. By the way, this is something that you're going to deal with for the next 2.5 years. So there can be kind of like sudden changes in domicile. I said in my previous video that you don't like surprises, Scorpio. Well, consider this your warning so that it ain't gonna be a surprise. There might also be some sort of health issue that a family member is dealing with that is putting significant strain on your psyche, and it can be quite abrupt, it can be quite sudden. You are feeling a little bit stressed about it, but the way I would recommend that you deal with it is accept that things have to change rather than trying to like maintain them as they are, which is generally what fixed energy tries to do, especially if you've got a lot of planets in fixed signs. Now, I've got good news for you as well. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Getting the more challenging stuff out of the way. So on the 6th of January, as I've mentioned, Mars moves out of Aries, your 6th house of day-to-day work and health, in the past 6 months. Now, in the past 6 months, my dear Scorpios, you may have dealt with inflammations in the body. You may have dealt with health-related issues, old health-related issues flaring up. It's over. It's done. You're good. You may have also had quite a few conflicts at work with coworkers and generally with stakeholders, people that you, any sort of people that you interact with in a work type environment. That's also over. Well done. And Mars is moving into your 7th house for the next 2 months. Now, let me put it out there. For those of you who are single, there can be like a very sudden appearance of someone in your life, especially around the 19th, 20th, and 21st, when Mars is conjunct Uranus in your 7th house, Uranus, the planet of surprise. But if you are with someone already, be careful, because on the 19th, 20th, and 21st, there can be some pretty ugly and sudden fights, which tends to be a theme with Uranus conjunct Mars in your 7th house. Now, also on the 8th of January, Mercury joins the Aquarius party and moves into your 4th house of home and family. So there is a lot of focus on 4th house matters, on home-related matters for you this month, Scorpio. Kind of like putting your thinking cap on and making you come up with solutions for any sort of like issues that you may be encountering in the sphere of real estate or family or residence. Also on the 8th of January, Venus moves into Capricorn in your 3rd house until the end of the month. From the 8th until the end of the month, Scorpio, if you're selling anything, everyone's wanting to buy it. Your social interactions also become a lot more pleasant, a lot more enjoyable, and you may be much more in the mood to chat with people, to catch up with people, to interact with them in general. It can feel like you're having some very meaningful and, how should I say, constructive conversations with the people that you meet from the 8th onwards. Now, on the 13th of January, we've got a new moon in Capricorn. Congratulations, you have graduated the past 3 years of Saturn moving through your 3rd house of studies and communication, where you've probably finished and graduated from like some courses, classes, school, or thoroughly developed your communication and negotiation skills. And this is being marked around the 13th of January by the new moon, where you are realizing, I've entered a new chapter. I'm much more of an expert at 3rd house related matters. I have greater skills that I can use tangibly, practically on a day-to-day basis. A lot of Scorpios are actually going to buy 3 days before, 3 days after the new moon, new cars, new vehicles, because the 3rd house is also associated with transportation. Or you may be selling an old one. So there is this exchange. The 3rd house is also the house of selling. I really like this new moon because you've got Venus supporting you at the time of the new moon, and Venus is going to be trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in your 7th house. Communication with your partner, especially around the 13th of January, it may feel like it's reaching a really sweet spot. And if you act as some sort of consultant in your job, or if you need a consultant, like, I don't know, a lawyer, for instance, you may find exactly the person that you need around the 13th of January. So very, very good time for you. Now, on the 19th of January, the sun moves into Aquarius, joining the Aquarius party in your 4th house of home. So even more focus on Aquarius matters related to your home life. You may even start to think about how you can be a bit flexible about your career at this time, in order to accommodate the needs of your home and your family. I will put it out there. The 24th of January is a bit of a challenging one because the sun is going to be conjunct Saturn in your 4th house in Aquarius. There can be a feeling of hitting a wall related to home and family matters, or there could be some potentially disruptive news related to a parent at this time, or really feeling like you can't make your point understood by a parent at this time. So there's kind of like a bit of an opposition that you are getting from them. On the 20th of January, we have a full moon happening in Leo in your 10th house. This is the house associated with career and reputation, and it's triggering 10th house matters, so career matters, but also 4th house matters, so home-related matters. The 10th house, 4th house axis is also associated with parents, so there's a lot of action happening around parent or parental issues the entire month, but there can be some sort of culmination, some peak, and possibly a bit of a crisis around the 28th. I would look back at any issues related to family or parental matters coming up into your life around the 18th of August 2020 at the new moon in Leo, because this is the ending of that cycle. So even though there may be a flare-up, there may be like a bit of a challenging time, it's dying down after this. So it's dwindling, it's scaling back. You're not gonna be in crisis mode forever, which is a great thing, Scorpio. Although you do survival better than everyone else. Gotta give you props for that. And last but not least, on the 30th of January until the 20th of February, Mercury stations retrograde in Aquarius in your 4th house of home and family. So until pretty much the end of Feb, you're gonna have to deal with an old matter related to family issues that's coming to your attention once again, my dear Scorpios, especially Scorpio risings, I have to say, Mercury in your chart rules your 8th house of shared resources, so there can be some sort of like financial or inheritance matter coming to your attention between the retrograde period, so 30th of Jan till the 20th of Feb. But also, Mercury rules your plans for the future, which is very interesting. So you are, in order to kind of like move forward with your plans for the future, going to have to deal with an older issue related to family and financial matters. So that is Scorpio for January. My dear Sagittarians, welcome to your January horoscope, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings in particular. Congratulations, you have officially graduated from one of the toughest periods in your life related to financial matters. And in the past 3 years, with Saturn cruising through your 2nd house of finances and earned income, you may have felt the pressure, the urge to get this part of your life in check, to stabilize it and to plan for the future and to add structure to it. So this month, I can tell you that the official graduation is very likely to make its way to you around the 13th of January, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, when you have a new moon, so big new symbolic chapter at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 2nd house. I really like this new moon because it is going to be sextiling Neptune and Pisces in your 4th house. It looks like the strides that you have made in the financial arena and in the arena of upgrading your priorities and your values in the past 3 years are helping you tremendously towards achieving a more ideal living situation, a more ideal home place. So you may very well be using some of this money or planning around the 13th of Jan, give or take a week before, a week after, or a few days before and after, to use your increase in income as something to improve your home place, to renovate it, to provide better for your family. What I also like about this new moon is the fact that Venus is going to be very close to it in Capricorn in your second house, trining the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your sixth house. The sixth house is day-to-day work. The second house is money. I wouldn't be surprised if you brought into your life a new source of income around this time, and it is something fully deserved because we've got that beautiful aspect. Well, not because, it's actually shown by that beautiful aspect to the two planets in your sixth house of day-to-day work. So new project, new client, you're feeling good, you're feeling hopeful, you've made it. I also wanted to point out that from the 8th of January till the end of the month, you are going to have Venus cruising through your second house of income. Generally, this is linked with an increase in income, with a very good month financially, more sales, more clients. You're feeling hopeful about money, therefore you might be prone to spending a little bit more than usual. Putting that out there. It's something that really gives you hope in the month of January. Now, throughout the entire month, but especially stronger after the 6th of January when Mars moves into Taurus in your 6th house. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 3rd house is going to be squaring first Uranus and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 6th house. The entire month. I will say this, you're going to be hugely busy throughout the entire month, work-wise especially, and more strongly after the 6th of January when you've got Mars there. And Mars is going to be spending 2 months until the 3rd of March in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So there is going to be a lot of hustling, Sagittarians, a lot of work, busyness, many projects, many plates spinning at the same time. And you're going to be feeling a little bit of frustration. Sometimes, as is the case when Saturn is involved. When it comes to the social interactions and all the communications that you have to go through in order to do your job on a day-to-day basis. And you may be frustrated at times because people don't get your message as quickly. They don't move as quickly as you move. And you're like, why are you slowing me down, folks? And I'm here to tell you the answer is going to be patience, Sagittarius. And yes, you're going to have to find better words and more clear ways to express your message because people are not mind readers and you're going to find that out pretty soon. And also, if you try to push through very quickly without involving others in your work projects, it's also not going to work. So take a step back. Be zen. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but take your time in explaining things properly. Now, I also want to say, especially on the 19th, 20th, and 21st, please, you're rushing this month tremendously, and there might be a little bit of an accident-prone type of situation, especially on the 19th, 20th, and 21st, when Mars is conjunct Taurus in your 6th house, or some sort of inflammation in the body. The answer is for you to slow down. Where are you in such a rush? I know you've got a lot of, a lot of terrain to cover, a lot of field that you want to cover, but you're not going to get anywhere if you hurt yourself. Be careful how you drive this month in particular, because even if it's not your fault, there might be some reckless folks around there, and especially folks that you probably consider slow. Don't let them distract you in your mode of transportation, my lovely Sagittarians. You might also have problems with your car this month. I will put it out there. Or I know, you've got so much good stuff happening, but hey, transportation issues, or you might want to sell your car, and it might be frustrating to see that it doesn't sell as soon as you wanted it to sell. Now, we've spoken about the new moon, which I'm very excited about. Something like a bit of a dramatic twist turn of events happening around the 14th of January related to your finances in a good way, in a positive way, but also in a very unexpected way when the sun is conjunct Pluto. Then from the 19th of January, the sun moves to Aquarius in your third house, joining the Aquarius party with Mercury there. The sun, obviously, Jupiter, and Saturn. There is a huge focus on Aquarius matters. You are going to have so much communicating to do next month. I gotta tell you. A lot of writing, a lot of speaking, a lot of interacting with others, a lot of expressing your opinions. It's like, oh man, can I just shut up for a second? Nope, you will not be allowed to shut up. Everyone's gonna want to hear what you think. You're gonna have to justify with like arguments and facts and through objective reasoning why you think what you think. So it's going to be a mental challenge next month, let me put it out there. And also from the 30th of January until the 20th of February, Mercury is going retrograde in this part of your chart. So there might be some revisions of exams. There might be some going back over communications or like old emails that you went through and having to kind of clarify what you meant. There might be some paperwork issues that come to the surface once again. You might have to review some of the skills that you thought you knew, but actually you've got to like recertify yourself or something of that nature. And please, please, please do not buy cars, gadgets, or any sort of like technology. I would say from the last week of January till pretty much the end of February, so that we take into account the shadow period of Mercury retrograde. Now, the month also ends with a full moon in Leo in your 9th house on the 28th. So this is playing back to themes that occurred in your life around the 18th of August 2020 at the new moon. So it's completing a cycle. It can be the completion of a learning cycle because 9th house, 3rd house matters are coming to the surface. You may hear the results of an exam. You may also hear the results of a legal issue because the 9th house is also associated with legal matters. It might not be the end of this though. Let me put it out there because we're going into the retrograde stage and there might be some additional paperwork that you're being asked for. There might be some reviewing, there might be some delays, so you're getting news related to this, but it's not the end. So patience, and bureaucracy, Sagittarius. Now, if you are a Capricorn, my dear Capricorns, Capricorn suns, and Capricorn risings, welcome, you are reborn. 2021 is the year of your rebirth. You've had it so hard for 3 years until Saturn and Jupiter also went out of your sign in the past in the last few weeks of December. It's a month of physical, symbolical, identity-wise rebirth, and it's a month of the rebirth of your optimism, which was somewhere kind of like in a drawer, forgotten at the back of your mind. So what's going on? I would like to flag in particular 2 events that have to do with your rebirth and refinding your identity and your optimism and feeling like a newborn in a way. The first event is Venus moving to Capricorn in your first house on the 8th of January. From the 8th of January till the end of the month, you're going to start feeling a lot better about yourself. Your self-esteem, your confidence, your sense of self-worth is probably going to go up. You're also going to feel a lot more welcome in the world. It's like you are appreciated, you are essentially welcome, you feel a sense of belonging. Between the 8th and the end of the month, I also want to say you're probably going to feel in the mood to beautify yourself in some shape or form. Maybe do a change of looks, get your hair cut, buy a new wardrobe or get something for yourself that makes you feel good with yourself. Indulge a little bit, Capricorns. I know it's not something that you normally do, but you have earned it and you absolutely deserve it. So you may be feeling a little bit in a more luxurious mood from the 8th till the end of the month. Now, on the 13th of January, we've got a new moon, a very symbolic new moon in Capricorn, at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your first house. So this is the rebirth. 3 days before, 3 days after the 13th of January, you are finding a new sense of identity. You're feeling better physically. You are feeling like a newborn. You are realizing how far you've come in the past 3 years. You're feeling proud of yourself. You're realizing how much you've learned, because the new moon is also going to be sextiling Neptune and Pisces in your third house. So the third house is associated with learning. So you're probably taking stock of how much you have learned and how much you have grown. And there's also a tinge of spirituality there. There's like, I get it now. It's bigger than me. So you're probably going to be feeling very good about it. Also, there might be some really good news coming your way from colleagues or siblings, if you've got siblings around this time. Venus and Capricorn in your first house at the time of the new moon is also going to be trining the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 5th house. More loving energy in your life. Probably there is someone that is loving you tremendously and that makes you feel very good and very appreciated around this time. Now, throughout the entire month, but stronger after the 6th of January, when Mars moves into Taurus in your 5th house, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 2nd house of income is going to be squaring the Uranus and then the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus in your 5th house. So what's cooking? What's happening? Throughout the entire month, you might be very much in the mood to have fun, to enjoy yourself. And there could be instances when you're like, I'm just gonna go and like throw a party or like overspend or overindulge. There's also there's a negotiation happening throughout the entire month between your values in general and what you consider important and valuable in this lifetime, and possibly a romantic partner. And there might be kind of like a bit of back and forth, and you're not necessarily aligned. You're not necessarily on the same page. Now, this is a nice aspect, however, throughout the entire month for sparks flying romantically. So even though it's a tense aspect, tension adds to chemistry, right? Now, some kind of like a little bit like a tougher days are the 19th, 20th, and the 21st, when if you are with someone romantically, you may fight with them. If you've got kids, you may fight with them as well. They can be very annoying around that time. Please don't hate on me. I know if you've got kids, Capricorns and Capricorns risings, they're the most unannoying people out there. There's something about wanting to enjoy life more, and worries about financial matters kind of like sitting at the back of your head and holding you back a little bit. So that's the only kind of like flag that I see for your very enjoyable January, my dear Capricorns. Now, from the 6th of January until the 3rd of March, Mars moves from Aries, and it's spent the past 6 months in Aries, squaring you, so not great. It's moving from Aries to Taurus in your 5th house. Literally, I gotta say, you are gonna be like move, party, fun, romance, create for the next 2 months until the 3rd of March. You've had some really challenging times family-wise in the past 6 months, and also related to your living situation, most likely. You've put a lot of energy into that part of your life. Now it's time to put energy into more enjoyable activities. You're going to also feel very creative in the next 2 months, my dear Capricorns, and you're going to kind of like push to also probably monetize your creative skills in some capacity. From the 8th of January, Mercury moves to Aquarius, joining the Aquarius party in your second house of values and income. And it's going to be exactly conjunct Jupiter in your second house in Aquarius on the 11th of January. 11th of January can be a really good day money-wise. It's like you're getting news related to your income. Then we've got the Sun moving to Aquarius in your second house of income and values on the 19th of January. Another party in your Aquarius house. On the 28th of January, though, this is a bit of a challenging one. So we've got 3 days before, 3 days after the 28th. We've got a full moon happening in Leo at 9 degrees of Leo in your 8th house, triggering your money axis and resources axis. Also your resources versus other people's resources. There's a T-square in the sky between the moon and Leo in the house of shared resources. Sun conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius in your second house of your own income, and Mars conjunct Uranus in the 5th house. Folks, look back at what was going on financially for you and in terms of shared resources around the 18th of August. Because there's going to be repeating themes when we had the new moon in Leo, triggering the same kind of like house in your chart. Essentially, there's going to be a lot of financial back and forth happening for you that kicks off in some shape or form around the 20th of January and then continues throughout Mercury retrograde. Mercury starts its retrograde on the 30th of January in Aquarius in your second house of income until the 20th of February. There's going to be delays financially. Let me put it out there. There's going to be debts to pay. There's going to be people owing you money saying, I can't pay you yet. There's going to be taxes to kind of like take care of. And whilst this all is happening, you're in such a great mood and you just want to get it all over with, and it is raining a little bit on your parade, but it's temporary. Although it may last a little bit longer than you think, so it's getting cleared up around the end of February after Mercury gets out of retrograde. Don't think that it's something that's going to last forever. It can be a bit annoying because you thought these financial matters were over. There can also be a negotiation of a contract, a negotiation of a bonus happening around this time, which is very, very likely, very, very possible. If you've got any sort of like insurance, inheritance, bonus, or financial kind of like lump sum of money to collect, it can get delayed, and you're probably going to hear of the delay around the 28th of Jan. So consider yourselves warned, Capricorn. Nevertheless, a fabulous month for you. My Aquarius brothers and sisters, welcome to your January horoscope. How does it feel? Jupiter and Saturn are both in our sign. Regardless of whether it's in your first house or regardless of whether it's touching your sun, you are going to get out of this 2.5-year period with Saturn in our sign, a changed person, a restructured person, a more mature, a more responsible person. I don't want to say a more pessimistic person, but hey, reality is going to be particularly real in the next 2.5 years. Oh my gosh, I need new metaphors, folks. To those of you entering your Saturn return, you've entered it already in December when Saturn moved into Aquarius on the 17th. I'm going through my Saturn return as we speak. Plus, I've got a 0 degrees Saturn, so it's happening. So what's going on, Aquarius folks? Essentially, you can consider the period of isolation, the period of retreat, of looking inwards, of reflection, of letting go of some of the old structures of your life over, because Saturn is out of Capricorn, where it's been in the past 3 years, since December 2017 till the middle of December 2020. And you're going to feel like you have grown tremendously in the area of spirituality, most likely, in the area of knowing yourself, understanding yourself and your psyche a lot better, and in the area of letting go. You've grown a lot in the past 3 years, and this this feeling of having learned, having let go of what no longer serves you when it comes to spiritual matters, when it comes to chapters in your life, is going to come to your attention once again at the new moon in Capricorn happening on the 13th of January, but also active 3 days before or 3 days after, when there is a new moon at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 12th house, sextiling Neptune and Pisces in your 2nd house. This is a time when you may realize, actually, your spiritual values have expanded. You feel a lot more part of the universe, part of the universal matrix. You may feel like you've made some tremendous progress in dissolving the ego, and in realizing it's not about what the ego wants, it's about how we fit in within the wider universe. And plus, on a more material, tangible level, around the 13th of January, you may hear news about an unexpected source of income, some unexpected kind of like money making their way to you. Emotionally, you are feeling a lot more at ease than you have felt for a very, very long time. Not to mention that from the 8th of January until the end of the month, Venus is going to be transiting through your 12th house in Capricorn, the 12th house of spirituality, of spending time alone, of rest. You may be feeling like you can finally rest, you can finally catch your breath. I would actually recommend, if you can, from the 8th of January till the end of the month, to take a few days off, to take a break, because this is something that can feel a lot more soothing than usual with Venus in that part of your chart. You're really going to feel like you can rest. If you are in a romantic relationship, then take a break with a romantic partner, because it can get even more romantic and transcendental than usual with Venus in that part of your chart from the 8th until the end of the month. And you're going to have a lot of work to do in the next 2.5 years. So grab any bit of rest and holiday that you can grab, or vacation, as you guys would say. Now, what's happening throughout the entire month, but also stronger after the 6th of January in particular, when Mars moves into Taurus in your 4th house of home and family, my dear Aquarius. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in your 1st house of identity and of the physical body is going to be squaring first Uranus, and then Uranus-Mars conjunct in Taurus in your 4th house. And some of the more tough days of the month are the 19th, 20th, and 21st, when Mars is exactly conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So throughout the entire month, you may be facing the reality of the fact that your family life and your home life is going to shift dramatically in the next 2.5 years. There may be some news related to someone suffering in your family, possibly a parent, if I may say so, because the 4th, 10th house axis is also associated with parents. You may feel like you can't do much, and that's where frustration may come from. You may also feel throughout the entire month that you can no longer close your eyes towards a family or home-related matter and pretend like it's not there and just roll with it. You're going to really want to kind of like assert and affirm your individuality, and this might result, especially around the 19th, 20th, and 21st, in clashes with family members, clashes with parents in particular, and a need to break free from some of the parental values that you have internalized in childhood. Now, on the 6th of January, as I've mentioned, Mars moves into your 4th house of home and family until the 3rd of March. So there's going to be a lot of energy that you put into family and home-related matters. Some folks may move throughout this time frame, and quite suddenly until the 3rd of March. Because essentially there won't be any other way around it. You'll feel like you're going to suffocate if you stay in the same kind of like position that you are in the same place that you are in, residence-wise. There might also be some sort of like sudden burst in your home, something breaking apart, like very suddenly, with like Mars contacting Uranus, especially on the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Something like I don't know, like a piece of furniture or a piece of tech as well, because Uranus rules technology. And it's very sudden, and you're like, how am I going to carry on with my life without this important piece in the home? So you're going to have to replace it, and replace it real quick, my lovelies. Now, on the 14th of January, the sun is going to be conjunct Pluto exactly in your 12th house in Capricorn. This is when you may have some very vivid dreams and a very sudden realization of a part of your life that has closed, and closed for good, forever. Literally forever. And it can be very much related to a part of your identity, and you realize, I ain't this person any longer, my Aquarius brothers and sisters. Now, from the 19th of January, the sun joins the Aquarius party in your first house of physical body. It's going to be there with Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. Mercury is there from the 8th of January as well. There's a lot changing in your body, I want to say, and there's a lot of changes that you already feel within your identity, within your sense of self, within how you approach the world. It's like these first few months of the year, Aquarius, are some, especially Aquarius risings, there's like new beginning after new beginning after new beginning after new beginning after new beginning in your life, and it can feel quite stressful at times. Like it might make you feel anxious. Don't forget to take time to yourself when you need to. Then on the 28th of January, we've got a full moon happening in Leo at 9 degrees of Leo in your 7th house. So it's happening on the 1st house, 7th house axis, which is concerned with you versus others in partnership. And it's a bit of a tough one, and it's active 3 days before, 3 days after the 28th. Why is it a tough one? Because we've got the moon and Leo in your 7th house of partnerships and other people and one-to-one interactions, and the sun conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius in the 1st house, and then Mars conjunct Uranus in the 4th house in a square to the sun and the moon. So you may break a certain piece of news to the family related to your partner or related to a partner in general. There may be some very clashing, very antagonistic responses from family members related to your decisions about partnership matters. You're going to feel like you've got to really stand your ground, and you're going to be asked to stand your ground here. I would look back at what was happening on the 18th of August, 2020 at the new moon in Leo on the same kind of like axis, because this is kind of like a completion of this 6-month cycle that started in August last year. Well, in 2020, actually, not last year, because when I'm releasing this is still 2020. I'm so excited to be talking about 2021 Aquarians. Then on the 29th of January, the sun is conjunct Jupiter in the 1st house of Aquarius, of you Aquarians. So you may feel like you've reached a point where you know yourself so much better, and also you know what your needs are in partnerships so much better, and you realize who you want to be in partnerships in particular, even if it gives birth to antagonism from others. It's like, this is it. This is who I am. And I gotta be authentically me. Why am I rhyming? Well, like, who am I trying to kid? Then from the 30th of January till the 20th of February, Mercury goes retrograde in your 1st house of identity. So there might be kind of like an analysis once again of your place in the world, going back over some of the decisions that you've taken related to your identity, related to your physical body as well. And also from the 30th of January till the 20th of February, you may feel like no one gets you, Aquarius. More than usual. I mean, I'm laughing because like I find it very funny. But I know you don't mind. Like, we Aquarians do speak fluent sarcasm, so if it were other signs, I would be getting comments like, why are you laughing about tragic matters? Sorry, I gotta roll my eyes real quick at that. So, Aquarius, it's a big month for you to show the world who you really are. There's going to be a responsibility coming with it. There's going to be judgment coming with it, but there's also a feeling of enlightenment and breaking free and liberation that comes with it. My dear Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac. Welcome to your January horoscope. How's it going? How have you been? What's cooking? What's happening? Are you taking plenty of rest? Well, in the next 2.5 years, you will be resting a lot, whether you want it to or whether you don't want it to. But you're probably going to want to. You're probably going to search for opportunities to spend time alone. You're going to enjoy it. Why is that? Because Jupiter is going to be there for the rest of 2021 and Saturn is going to be there till March 2023. So it's already begun, but it's going to speak to themes that unfold in your life for the next 2.5 years, Pisces. So let me not get ahead of myself. Throughout the entire month, but stronger after the 6th of January, when Mars moves into Taurus in your third house of siblings, communication, transportation, learning. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in your 12th house is going to be squaring first to Uranus and then Uranus-Mars conjunct in Taurus in your third house. What's happening? Throughout the entire month, you may be receiving feedback from others, and you may be having all sorts of social interactions that get you thinking and that make you analyze very objectively what you believe in, that make you retreat from the world and really kind of go over things in your head and try to unpack why people are reacting to the way you communicate to them in a certain way. You may actually find people quite antagonistic in their communication towards you this month in particular, but consider it an opportunity to learn. Consider it an opportunity to ask yourself, why are they communicating to me in this way? What does it mean? What do I need to learn? And also, there is a possibility that, especially around the 19th, 20th, and 21st, these are some quite tough days. You may be hearing some very sudden disruptive news from siblings, if you've got siblings. If you've got a car, then it could break down around the 19th, 20th, or 21st, or there could be major disruptions literally throughout the entire month when it comes to short distance travel. So I would say patience is a keyword here. But also in particular, I would pay a great deal of attention as to not to speed around the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Please, 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 my dear Pisces. Extra care, literally extra care around this time. There may be some sudden trips that you need to take also, short distance around the 19th, 20th, and 21st, when you would rather be resting in bed and meditating, possibly. Now, on the 6th of January, as I've mentioned, Mars moves from Aries. It's been spending the past 6 months in Aries, in your second house of values and income. It's moving to Taurus in your third house. So until the 6th, from July 2022 until the 6th of January, you may have actually gotten rid of some sources of income in your life and hustled to bring some new ones in. You may have been feeling quite alert and possibly a little bit stressed about your finances. Well, that's over. It's done. You've made it, and you are in a much better position. In the next 2 months, from the 6th of January till the 3rd of March, you're going to be very active in learning and also very active in selling, communicating, interacting with others. There's a lot of third house activities, so third house matters come to the surface. You're not going to be still for the next as much as you'd like to. Let me put it out there. You're going to feel a little bit tired with those planets in the 12th house, especially Jupiter and Saturn. But no rest for the wicked, as they say. Why am I being sarcastic to you, Pisces? You're the loveliest people out there. I mean, at least that's how that's my vibe of you, because I've got Venus in Pisces, so I love you. For other people, you can be not so lovely. But hey, enough subjective opinions thrown into your monthly horoscope. Now, from the 8th of January until the end of the month, Mercury is moving into Aquarius, joining the Aquarius party in your 12th house. So even more desire to spend time alone, to think things over alone, to study probably alone, to dig deep into a certain topic alone. And then there's everyone else kind of like calling you and interrupting you. It's a month of interruptions. Let me just say it, Pisces. So now that you know, you can deal with it maybe a little bit better. Now from the 8th of January till the end of the month, Venus is transiting through your 11th house of friends. So by the way, getting together with friends from the 8th until the end of the month is going to be this beautiful, beautiful, very, very pleasant experience. Spend time with people, spend time in groups type of situations, even if it's not in real life, even if it's online. You're gonna feel good about the people that you've got in your life, about your friends. Reach out to them, share with them the fact that you love them. It is a great, great time to do that. It's also a great time to really kind of like start thinking about the future. And this whole future theme is also shown by the new moon happening on the 13th of January in Capricorn, 3 days before, 3 days after, at 23 degrees of Capricorn in your 11th house, sextiling Neptune and Pisces in your first house. You're going to be dreaming about the future at this time, my dear Pisces. And it's great to dream about it because with Neptune in your first house in this beautiful aspect to the new moon, dreams come true. So what you can visualize, what you can envision, what you can feel the emotion and the feeling of already having fulfilled your view and your vision for the future, and you are one step closer to making it a reality. Dreaming big is very, very well aspected for this new moon. Literally, this is probably like one of the best times to manifest things. Write them down, make a list, however you choose to manifest, visualize, meditate, feel it in your body. Stack techniques up for manifesting, because it is so powerful. There can be a new friend entering your life at this time, or a new group of people that you realize have entered your life in the past 3 years, and you feel much more welcome and you feel a stronger sense of belonging to them than you have felt to your previous friendships. Now, on the 19th of January, the sun moves into Aquarius, into your 12th house. I told you you're going to want to spend time alone. You're going to want to spend time in isolation. Or you may find yourself isolated for quite some time after the 19th. For multiple kind of reasons. Essentially, the whole theme of spending time alone is also amplified around the 28th of January, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, when there's a full moon in Leo happening in your 6th house of work and health, also triggering your 12th house of isolation and sacrifice. This is news from work and possibly not something that you have envisaged. It could be some disruptive news because we've got the full moon aspecting Mars conjunct Uranus in the 3rd house associated with news. It can also be some very disruptive clients that you've got to deal with at this time, and you may be feeling quite drained of energy around the 28th of January. I would also look back at what was going on the 18th of August, 3 days before, 3 days after, at the new moon in Leo, in 2020, because it's kind of like a mirroring of those themes and a culmination of those themes. It can be an ending job-wise. You may be leaving your job, or you may hear of people leaving their job. The 6th house is also the house of employees, so someone that works for you could suddenly come at you and say, "I've had enough. I don't want to work for you anymore." And you're like, "Why didn't you say so? This comes as such a surprise." There is a feeling of disruption in your workflow. There could also be a bit of a flare up physically related to kind of like heart circulation, because Leo rules these matters, or some sudden back pain, because Leo is also associated. Leo rules the back in astrology. Take it easy. Take it easy and don't overextend yourself. Don't work out too hard. Also, don't be too sedentary, because like either extreme is equally bad for your health. Here I am, the fitness influencer. I mean, for those of you who are new to my channel and you've never heard me talk about this, I used to be an athlete for like 15 years of my life. The dream growing up was to play professional tennis. So I played tennis from the ages of 4 till pretty much 18 and a bit. So I do know a thing or two about fitness. Just saying. Hashtag just saying. Oh. Look, my alarm. And the month ends with a retrograde. So you thought you were making great progress, and everyone thought they were making great progress, and here we go. Retrograde season once again. On the 30th of January, Mercury stations retrograde in Aquarius at 26 degrees of Aquarius till the 20th of February in your 12th house. So there is a specific chapter in your life that you may have thought was over and done with, but you've got to finish it better. You've got to deal with some of those themes once again. It's themes related to paperwork. It's themes related to your career, because Mercury rules your career sector. In what sense? In terms of business partners. So it could be something that has to do with paperwork related to a business partner that comes to your attention. I want to also say Mercury rules your partners in general. So there might be a secret or like an unexpected secret piece of information coming to your attention related to a partner. It could also mean a secret fling for some Pisces risings. So just to put it out there, to say it doesn't all have to be challenging. So this is your January horoscope, my dear Pisces. What a month. Thank you to all those of you who have joined me for your January monthly horoscopes. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, because why not? You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, my handle is Rux Unbelievable, in one word. And for those of you who haven't heard me mention it yet, I offer personalized astrological readings. You can book these through my website. There are video call consultations. There's audio recording only options as well. And there are a variety of different types of readings that I offer. Natal chart readings, so full comprehensive, as well as yearly forecasts, or love, relationships, and compatibility readings. So have a peek on writteninthestars-astrology.com. Obviously, the website is also in the description of this video. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful January, and I'll see you next time.